The New England Patriots are still looking for that big ticket signing when it comes to offense, but are they adding enough depth on this team to be just as impactful for 2025? Stick around. You're about to be locked into the Locked On Patriots podcast.
You are Locked On Patriots, your daily New England Patriots podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello to all of you Foxborough faithful. Thank you once again for making Locked On Patriots a daily part of your New England Patriots coverage. I'm your host, Mike Debate. I cover your New England Patriots right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. So reach out to me. Let me know what's on your mind on X at MDABATENFL. While you're out there showing some love to Locked On Patriots social media style, follow our account there as well at LO_Patriots. And Pats fans, you can catch me also where the skies are blue over on Blue Sky at MDABATENFL.bsky.social. And Pats fans, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. All of you Foxborough faithful, it has been quite the interesting week here in New England. Started off with an explosion of free agency signings starting Sunday night into Monday. Since then, things have cooled a little bit, but the Patriots are not resting on their laurels. They're adding depth along the offensive line and on defense, and they're hoping these depth pieces can make a positive impact on the team heading into the 2025 regular season. And today we're going to talk about the additions of offensive lineman Wes Schweitzer. We're going to talk about the addition of safety Marcus Epps, and of course, a signing which occurred late Thursday afternoon, edge rusher K'Lavon Chiasson. And in a continuing segment here on Locked On Patriots, we're going to be getting to know the new guys. And what better way to kick it off than with the Patriots' big ticket signing so far? The most lucrative contract in Patriots history belongs to defensive tackle Milton Williams. And here today to lend his wisdom and counsel on the subject is my good buddy and colleague here on Locked On Patriots, the host of Locked On Eagles, Louie DiBiase. But before I bring in one Paisan, I'm going to bring in my Patriots Paisan, and that is my good friend, columnist extraordinaire at PatsFans.com, as well as being the co-host of another amazing Patriots podcast, Patriots 4th and 2, which should be a part of your daily rotation. If it's not, do it now. You won't regret it. My good buddy, Steve Balestrieri. Steve, thanks for coming on the show today. Thank you for helping kick off the weekend here on Locked On Patriots.
It's been an exciting week, hasn't it? I mean, the Patriots, fans have been clamoring for them to sign some splash guys, and they definitely did that. And so they filled a lot of holes. I know some people are still lamenting about offense, but, things have just kicked off this week. They're going to make some moves. I think I wouldn't be surprised if we see a trade coming down the pike at some point.
Yeah, it's kind of angling in that direction, isn't it, Steve? I mean, it almost seems like the New England Patriots have kind of been in on some wide receivers, in on some rumors. Again, as we approach the end of business on Friday and the weekend starts to creep up, we're hearing that the Cincinnati Bengals are very close to deals with both Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. So those dreams may be off the table, but there's still a lot that the New England Patriots can do, including utilize their draft capital to bring in an exciting young potential future star on offense. But what I wanted to do, Steve, is I wanted to talk about the moves that the Patriots are making, because they are bringing in some depth pieces. They weren't going to let the weekend go quietly into that good night. They were going to find a way to strengthen some of the positions most in need of some quality depth. And I think they've done that over the course of the last 24 to 48 hours. Let's start with the moves that were made on Friday. And the first move, adding offensive lineman Wes Schweitzer. Now, Schweitzer is coming in as a guard. He's primarily playing along the interior. The Patriots have a clear need at the tackle position, especially at the left-hand side. Morgan Moses kind of took care of their dilemma on the right, but that left is still wide open. And the Patriots still have a glaring need in the middle of that offensive line after the surprising release of David Andrews. So when you look at Schweitzer, 31 years old, 62 starts since entering the league in 2016. He was a draftee, came in the 6th round, played with the Atlanta Falcons, the Washington Commanders, and, of course, the New York Jets, overlapping his time with new Patriots wide receivers coach Todd Downing. So Again, there's familiarity with a member of the coaching staff. You can understand why the Patriots are making this move. I think this is a decent signing, has the potential to even be a good signing, but this is not a needle mover. This is not going to change the complexity of the starting five of this offensive line. This one has simple depth piece written all over it, in my estimation. But
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is, and you take it as such. I don't think they're expecting him to come in here and, um, you know, uh, supplant anybody right off the bat. Now, you never know, right? He might come into, the training camp and you know, blow everybody away, but they're not expecting that from him. They're expecting him to be what he has been, and that is a valuable, versatile guy who can back up people at the either guard position or at center.
right.
He's played a little bit of center, but you know, he's one of those guys in case of emergency break glass, and that's what he was signed for. They did not sign him with the, like you said, with the intention of this is going to move the needle. I think, you got to have depth along your offensive line. The Patriots had very much a lack of it last year. A lot of it was because of injury, but you're bringing in an established vet and he'll do his job. I don't think, again, he's not a starter and people shouldn't get too excited about it, thinking that, oh my God, they're going to put this guy in there. I mean, he's a depth guy.
Yeah, without any question, he totally is a depth guy. And again, I think it comes back to the type of player that the Patriots are targeting, especially on this offensive line. 6'4", 300 pounds, so you're dealing with a guy that's sizable. He's not easy to move around. So I think the Pats like that. They want to get some continuity, some stability, maybe on the bench when it comes to offensive linemen and swing guys that they can utilize on the interior. 4,572 offensive snaps, played 99% of the downs in his second year in the NFL. So this kid does have durability and is someone that can be relied upon to take a large number if there's an injury along the offensive line or if there's subpar play along the offensive line. This guy can step in and provide some continuity there. He started at left guard. He's spelled in at both tackle spots. We've seen him report in as an eligible tight end. I wonder if Mike Vrabel had a little chuckle watching that and thinking about the possibilities of this guy lining up in the jumbo packages. But mostly, he's been a right guard in the NFL. And like you said, he has played some center. So I think at this point, it's a good move for the New England Patriots to bring someone like Schweitzer in. But I wouldn't say this is the type of needle moving move that's going to replace David Andrews. Far from it. They got a lot of work to do. I think the jury is still out on who's going to be the center for this team, and definitely they need to address the left tackle position. That position, in my opinion, is wide open as we speak. Steve, the Patriots weren't done on Friday because they made another move on the defensive side of the ball, and that was bringing in veteran safety, most recently of the Las Vegas Raiders, Marcus Epps. Epps coming into the NFL in 2019 as a sixth-round pick of the Minnesota Vikings. He's played with the Vikings, the Eagles. Of course, he spent last two seasons with the Raiders, and now he comes to the Patriots. 294 tackles, 2 forced fumbles, 18 pass breakups, 1 fumble recovery, and 3 interceptions. Obviously, this is someone that's going to come in that the Patriots are going to try to use, I believe, as a center fielder when they put those 3 safety sets in, when they play some dime packages. Once again, a great depth piece, but I don't think this is going to be a needle mover in terms of pushing either one of the starters. Assuming the Patriots are going to bring back Kyle Duggar and Jabril Peppers, which I believe they will, I think Epps makes a nice third man in that rotation.
Yes, I agree with that. And again, I mean, you can never have enough good depth. I like what they got out of Del Pettis last year. So, I mean, now you have, as well as Epps, you also have Hawkins, I mean, so their safety group is going to be it once again. I mean, for a while there, that was the deepest position on the team, and it's getting to be that way again. Again, I like the move. It's not one of those, like you said, it's not a needle mover, but again, you can't have enough good depth. And, perhaps, like you said, they see more of a center fielder role for him when they get in their nickel and dime packages. And, he's more than capable of helping out in that aspect. I like the signing.
Absolutely. And look, low risk, high reward. They're signing him to a $4.4 million deal. This is a kid that is coming off of an ACL, which may explain why he was on the shelf for a few days. Teams may be a little bit leery to bring them in, but all the medicals surrounding Marcus Epps right now indicate that he will be ready to go for training camp, and he'll be all set to showcase his talents as soon as the Patriots need him to do so. So once again, folks, the Patriots adding depth at key pieces, key positions, and they keep fortifying that defense. It makes you wonder whether or not the Patriots are planning another offensive onslaught when it comes to the 2025 NFL draft. Jury's still out on that one, folks, and we'll get into what all of these signings mean for the draft in the subsequent weeks here on Locked On Patriots. But a very intriguing move made by the Patriots on Thursday night. Some fortification of that edge rush. Steve and I are going to talk about K'Lavon Chiasson in just a moment when this episode of the Locked On Patriots podcast continues, a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Locked On listeners, March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's 200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories, and even who's cutting down the nets. I've got my eye on a few underdogs this year, and FanDuel makes it easy to back them with spreads, totals, and game props. And the FanDuel app is simple to use. When I win, I get paid instantly. No waiting around. So visit FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoops action all tournament long. FanDuel.com. Patriots fans, thank you once again for joining us here today on Locked On Patriots as we continue to break down the week that was here in Foxborough, from the free agent frenzy that was Sunday night into Monday for the Patriots to adding some much-needed depth toward the end of the week. Pats have been active in putting that wealth of cap space that we talked about last weekend with our good friend Miguel Benzon to good use. On Friday, the Patriots made a couple of depth moves, but a move that they made on Thursday may have the chance to move the needle a little bit more. And we're going to talk about that signing right now with our guest today, our good friend, my Patriots paisan, Steve Balestrieri of PatsFans.com. Steve, on Thursday afternoon, the New England Patriots revealed that they were indeed bringing a former number 20 overall pick, K'Lavon Chiasson. Patriots signing him to a one-year, $5 million deal. Once again, a former Raider, the third former Raider that the Patriots are now bringing in, if you count Marcus Epps and Rob Spillane. So Chiasson, to me, is an interesting signing. He played 15 games for the Raiders last year, 32 tackles, 5 sacks, forced a fumble, and snagged an interception. This kid knows how to play for big-time programs, big-time teams. Everybody remembers him from LSU. He was a part of that national championship team. He was a number 20 overall pick in 2020 with the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's where he met current Patriots offensive line coach Doug Marrone. So once again, continuity, the guy that knows the coaching staff. When you look at his game and you look at what he can bring to the table skill set-wise, and you look at the Patriots' need at pass rush, how do you see Chiasson fitting in, and what are your thoughts on this signing for New England?
Well, again, this is a really good depth signing. When I heard that, hey, the Patriots signed an edge rusher from the Raiders, I was like, oh, they made a deal for Max Crosby. But no, unfortunately, it wasn't that. But no, this kid's got some talent. He never lived up to that first round, draft selection there. But he seemed to come on at the end of the year for the Raiders. And, this is one of those low risk, high reward type of signings. And again, you have some good, pass rushers now. And those guys are going to need a spell here and there, right? I mean, you can't have enough good guys to do that. And they were definitely lacking in the pass rush department last year. So now, you bring in a guy like this. He's definitely going to be one of those sub-package guys. He'll spell whoever needs, to catch a breath out there. And that's great because he has the tools. We know he has that. We saw it at LSU, and he's flashed at times, especially late in this last season with the Raiders.
Right. Very good point.
And they're not emptying the bank vault here for him. It's a pretty modest contract for an edge rusher. And if he works out, I mean, that's just going to add another piece to the puzzle of the defense. But I like the signing because I think that, I don't picture him as a starter. He might spot start, somebody's banged up or whatever. But, I just look at this as another really good depth signing for the team coming up. And it just solidifies that defense. This defense is going to look a lot different this year.
Oh, it absolutely is. And the reason why I think I like Chiasson signing, and I think it has the chance to move the needle, maybe more than the Epps signing, definitely more than the Schweitzer signing for the offensive line, is that they're getting someone in Chiasson that is on the upswing when it comes to his NFL level skill set. And they're getting something in him that the Patriots desperately needed last year. And that's the ability to play the ball. That's the ability to get production out of the football. They need someone that's capable of being able to aid in taking the ball away. Now, in his first few years in the NFL, K'Lavon Chiasson was not the type of guy that was active in getting the ball away from your opponent. But last year as a Raider, I thought it was very interesting that you saw him attacking the football a lot more. He was breaking up more passes. He forced his first career fumble. He was able to register an interception. These were career firsts for him. So I think in a Terrell Williams type of environment where it is all about aggression, it is all about, putting everything out there. I always use the Cobra Kai analogy, the strike first, strike hard, no mercy type of defense that he likes to play. This guy's fitting very well into it, and I think he's rounding into his own in terms of his skill set. So even though his numbers don't stand out in that regard, I think if you look at the way he played last year, you'll see it. And the Patriots, again, were so deficient in that area in 2024. 30th in the league, only 12 takeaways last season. Patriots have to improve on that. I think Chiasson gives them the opportunity to do it.
Yeah, and again, I mean, the defense is going to be aggressive. They're going to want these guys, on the edge to play with their hair on fire, and to attack upfield. And I think they're putting together some good people to do that. And I think he'll be a valuable depth piece. He's definitely going to make the roster. I don't see where he wouldn't,
Right.
because I think they need that. You have a couple of great edge setters in Landry, Anthony Jennings.
Right.
Landry is a very good pass rusher. You have Keon White, and now this guy could spell any of them, depending on the situation.
Again, max value of $5 million, not a bank-breaking type contract. This, to me, is worth the risk. And if he can give you the same type of production that he gave you last year in Las Vegas, yeah, I think you're looking at a very sneaky good signing for the New England Patriots. I think all three of these signings in some way, shape, or form help to make this team better than they were in 2024. So, Steve, once again, I always appreciate your wisdom, your counsel, and I thank you for joining me here today to discuss the newest members of the New England Patriots. Before I let you go and I bring in my Philadelphia Paisan here to Locked On Patriots, please let everyone know where they can reach out to you, interact with you, and what you got cooking in Cucina Balestrieri over the weekend. Buddy.
Yeah. Well, just to let everyone know, the feds aren't going to break in because there's a meeting of the 5 families, okay?
That's right.
But anyway, no, thank you for having me, as always.
Of course.
And, it's always a pleasure. This is my favorite time of year. It's so exciting. There's all these different moves being made. Teams are all shifting one way or the other. And that's what we're going to be looking at. This weekend, we'll be writing about the moves that the Patriots made, the ones they still need to make, and how we're looking at the team as a whole. I think they're already a lot better football team than they were the guys who came off the field in January. So,
yeah, without question. Very good point, Steve. And again, the 2025 NFL draft strategy now starting to look a little bit clearer. When you look at depth on this team, you can see where the Patriots have filled several needs and where several needs still exist. For those of you clamoring for a game-breaking type of pass catcher, whether it be a receiver, a tight end, anybody that can be a big-time playmaker for Drake May, trust the process, and I do believe that you will see the New England Patriots address that and address it in a big way. How they'll do it, still a matter of conjecture. But one thing that is not a conjecture is the fact that Milton Williams will be a strong anchor of your defense, of the New England Patriots defense in 2025. Here today to tell us a little bit more about Milton Williams is my good friend and colleague, Louie DiBiase, host of the Locked On Eagles podcast. We cross the streams with Locked On Eagles in just a moment when this episode of the Locked On Patriots podcast wraps up right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Locked On listeners, ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all of your accounts, investments, and spending all in one place. So you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. Managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNFL, LOCKEDON for half off your first year. Patriots fans, to wrap up today's show, we are going to continue to get to know the new faces in Foxborough. And today, we're going to take a look at the Patriots' highest profile addition to their defense. Super Bowl champion with the Philadelphia Eagles, Milton Williams. And today we're going to give you an insider's look at Milton from someone who knows him quite well. And his insight is as honest and as spot on as it comes. He is the host of Locked On Eagles, the voice of the Super Bowl champions here on the Locked On Podcast Network, my good friend and paisan, Louie DiBiase. Louie, thank you so much for joining me here today. Welcome back to Locked On Patriots.
Yeah, Mike, it's good to have me. It's good to talk to you again. And I would say it's good to have me as the label of the Super Bowl voice of the Locked On Podcast Network. I like that a lot. So, yeah, I'm happy to talk Milton Williams. It's sad he's not in Philadelphia anymore, but you guys are getting a good player over there in Boston.
Yeah, anticipation certainly high. I know excitement level is definitely high, and we had the opportunity to meet with Milton on Thursday, and he's only endearing himself to Patriots Nation more and more as we continue to learn more about him. But you know him as well as anyone. You've covered him for the past few years in Philadelphia, and Louie, this move immediately upgrades the Patriots front seven. This is a unit that struggled mightily in terms of trying to get after the quarterback and show aggression. I know for a fact that Milton is going to immediately improve that facet. 5 sacks, a career-high 40 quarterback pressures last season. As I've said a few times here now on Locked On Patriots, those 40 pressures were 4 more than Milton had in the previous 2 seasons combined. So you know he's stepping up his game. He played a career-high 47.8 snaps on defense last year. I know some Patriots fans were a little squeamish about giving a big contract to someone who hasn't played over 50% of the team's defensive snaps. But when you got Jalen Carter and you got that type of defense around you, there's only so many snaps that can go around. So I've tried to quell some of the concern surrounding a lot of that with Patriots fans. Of course, Milton shined his brightest in the Super Bowl. There was a great game for him, an excellent showcase of his talents. 2 sacks, 2 stops, 4 total pressures, and really, I think, instrumental in bringing the Lombardi Trophy back home to Broad Street and to Philadelphia. So from an on-field standpoint, Williams really is a game changer for New England without any question about it. So given your knowledge, what can you tell us about his skill set and what he meant to the Philadelphia Eagles?
He meant a lot. And for any Patriots fans that are kind of nervous about Milton Williams being a one-year wonder and you just paid $26 million a year to a guy that, you kind of drank the Kool-Aid of a Super Bowl hero and you have all this cap space and it could just be like that next story of a bad team just overpaying for a free agent. I don't really think that's the case. And yeah, you might look at his past stats and there was such a huge clear jump in 2024. I really don't think performance was a reason Milton Williams was not playing a lot his first few years in Philadelphia in 2021, 2022, and 2023. Remember, before they had Jalen Carter, they also had Fletcher Cox. They also had Javon Hargrave. During their Super Bowl run, they had also signed a bunch of veterans like Linval Joseph and Ndamukong Suh. The Eagles like to be very deep at the defensive tackle position. They like to rotate at least 3 to 4, sometimes 5 guys in there. Milton Williams, I always think, flashed. Every year that he was with the Eagles in all of those 4 seasons after he was a third-round pick, I also thought he was always one of your most consistent pass-rushing defensive tackles. That's what you're going to be getting in Milton Williams. Like, that's his bread and butter is, like, you look at pass rush win rate. He had the highest win rate of any defensive tackle in all of football last year. Some of that's because Jalen Carter commands more attention than maybe anybody at this position right now in football, but Milton Williams is one of the best one-on-one pass rushing interior defensive linemen in football. Will he get more attention in New England than Philadelphia? For sure, but that kind of player this age as an ascending talent, I think is worth that investment. It's why teams are willing to pay these kind of guys $25+ million a year. So I would, if you're a Patriots fan kind of nervous about the one-year wonder thing with Milton Williams, I wouldn't be. This was his breakout year, and I think he's only going to get better from here on out.
So well said, and I completely agree with you. And again, I think it speaks volumes to the type of defense that the New England Patriots want to employ. And I think that's why Milton was the centerpiece of trying to achieve that and trying to bring in someone who could be the focal point of this defense. Under new head coach Mike Vrabel and new defensive coordinator Terrell Williams, the Patriots are already expecting to deploy a new defensive scheme this season, a much more aggressive 4-down scheme. And the benefit of transitioning to that type of a defense for the Pats, that it does tend to be more aggressive inherently. Rather than reading and reacting to the run or the pass, the defensive line is going to get unlocked. They're going to get upfield. It's going to lead to more plays behind the line of scrimmage. Now, last season, the Patriots struggled to generate early down pressure. They ranked 31st in pressure rate on first and second down. And this is an area where I think Milton Williams can really help them. So from your insight on his game, how will he factor into the Pats' transition into that type of system?
I don't think it's a coincidence that's the kind of system the Patriots are going to, and Milton Williams was somebody they were willing to get into a bidding war with the Carolina Panthers for in free agency, because he is that kind of pin your ears back, let him go attack the quarterback type of player. Not saying he's a one-trick, pony, but that is his strongest suit. Like, that is what the Eagles liked about him coming out of the draft in 2021. That's like that really is his strength. Now, I think he is underrated as a run stopper. The thing with the Eagles is they also had Jordan Davis for that role. So a lot of the times, like, they had other guys to take care of that. They had Fletcher Cox, they have Jalen Carter, but Milton Williams can be a 3-down, do it all type of player. But yeah, like that's what they asked him to do against Kansas City is, hey, Jalen Carter is going to do all of this different stuff. Like, he's going to take on the responsibilities. He's going to take on the double teams. Milton Williams, your job, to win the one-on-ones, go after Patrick Mahomes. And he was, outside of maybe him and Josh Sweat, he was probably the best defensive player on that field in a championship win. So I think he could be, I don't want to say he's, Vrabel's next Jeffrey Simmons, but he can be that kind of player like that. It's not a coincidence Vrabel was looking for that kind of guy again. He had Simmons in Tennessee, and I think he has that vision for Milton Williams as well.
Absolutely. And Vrabel is already willing to increase that snap total. Mm-hmm. He looked at him on the dais on Thursday at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough and looked at him and said, I hope you're ready to play a little bit more. And Milton kind of smiled and shook his head and said, absolutely. That's why I'm here. You're getting someone that's bought in and that wants to help this team build something special in New England. And we're years away. right now from being able to contend to where the Eagles are. But I think laying the groundwork and having these seedlings now that are going to be planted is something that's going to help this team in the long run. Louie, last but certainly not least, when it comes to Milton Williams, he met members of the New England media this Thursday. Seems excited to play here. We obviously know about his high motor playing style. We've discussed it here, but our listeners would like to know a little bit about the man himself, maybe a little bit more than we've learned in just the last couple of days. As someone who's covered him for the past couple of seasons, what can you tell us about Milton Williams, the teammate, most importantly, the man himself?
He's a humble guy, and that's the impression that I got through 4 years of covering Milton Williams. He's humble. I think he's more on the quiet side. Now, at the same time, there are a lot of loud personalities on that Eagles roster. You look at, in 2024, you had Jalen Carter, you had Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, and Quinyon Mitchell appeared to be a trash talker at the next level, and all the Georgia kids that they brought in these last few years. So Milton Williams at times kind of got, I don't want to say he was, disappearing in the background, but I think he prefers it that way. I think he was underrated on the field, but also off the field. It's just like a steady lead by example type of presence, and it'll be interesting to see him grow in a new role. I'm excited to watch Milton Williams be the alpha now, to be the number one. Again, it wasn't his fault that he wasn't that guy in Philadelphia, but he was with so many greats, all-time greats, young greats, and it'll be cool to see him maybe take on a more vocal role as a leader on a younger defense. I think there's a lot of things Milton Williams wasn't able to do in Philadelphia that New England sees the vision, his potential in being more with the Patriots. So I think he was a humble guy. He was a really good teammate. Nobody ever said anything bad about him. They loved him in Philadelphia, and he's one of the main reasons they were able to dethrone the Chiefs and stop the first three-peat in NFL history. So I think the Patriots are getting a really good player that, again, is ascending. I don't think you should be worried about the one-year wonder. The only reason the Eagles weren't able to pay this guy is because they're going to have to pay another defensive tackle in Jalen Carter north of $30 million a year. And you just can't feasibly pay two players at this position that kind of money when you have the payroll that Philadelphia has right now.
Absolutely. Well, I can definitely tell you that New England is glad that Philadelphia was not able to do that.
Yeah.
It sent Milton Williams our way, and I know Patriots fans cannot wait to see this guy out on the field. One of the things that struck me from speaking with him on Thursday and getting to know a little bit more about him is he's extremely proud of the Super Bowl that he won in Philly and his time there. And I think he's using that championship ring coming in here to New England to say, I've been a part of a team that has built stable contender, and we've done it the right way. And what we've done in Philly can be done here in New England if it continues to be done the right way. And I think by leading by example, he's going to endear himself not only to Patriots Nation, but each and every member of that locker room. And I think that's where his value is really going to pop and shine from day one. Louie, I can't thank you enough for coming by today to lend your wisdom and counsel on Milton Williams and helping get to know the new guy. But there is another new guy in New England, freshly signed, or at least reported on Friday afternoon. Before I let you go, I just want to get your take on safety Marcus Epps, who obviously has spent the last couple of years with the Las Vegas Raiders, starter for that team, coming off of an ACL. Obviously, we're hearing good things on the medicals that he'll be ready to go. But I wanted to pick your brain on him just very briefly because I believe he had his best year as a pro in 2022 with the Philadelphia Eagles, set career highs with 94 tackles, 6 pass breakups. He was someone that really contributed a great deal to that Philadelphia secondary. What kind of player are the New England Patriots getting in Marcus Epps?
I think Marcus Epps is an underrated player, and as you mentioned, he had a career season in their Super Bowl 57 run that fell just short against Kansas City a couple years ago, but Marcus Epps was a really good player, and he cashed in a big contract that following season with the Las Vegas Raiders. It was kind of a similar situation with Milton Williams, where the Eagles just could not afford Marcus Epps, and they were also at the time, I think they were prioritizing certain positions over others. They weren't investing a lot of money at safety or linebacker, running back. They let both Marcus Epps and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson go that year, but Epps was a really good player. He was solid in coverage. He had a nose for turnovers, was really good against the run. Like, he was a sound tackler. He was one of the more underrated players on that defense because, again, there were so many stars on that unit. But Marcus Epps, a guy that also was a big-time special teams contributor for Philadelphia. Is he one of the best safeties in football? No. Is he a guy you're going to win because of? No. But I think you can win with Marcus Epps as a starter. And on a cheap contract, I think you could do a lot worse than Marcus Epps. When they brought him in as an underrated free agent signing in 2019, it didn't take long for him to become a start or a role player, at least in Jim Schwartz's defense, going from a special teamer to a guy that in the wild card round that year against Seattle, he was in coverage against DK Metcalf at the very end of that game. So Epps has always been somebody that I think has outplayed his, potential and his contracts. And I think at worst case scenario, New England's getting a solid special teamer in Marcus Epps, but I think he's a solid starter in this league still.
Excellent insight from the local experts you'll find only here on the Locked On Podcast Network, folks. Louie, not only do I consider you a great friend, but on behalf of Patriots Nation, I think we owe the Eagles a debt of gratitude for saving us from an off-season of dynasty talk. It's always a complicated history between these two fan bases.
And Mike, it saves the Patriots from, because if the Chiefs win that three-peat, they're seen as maybe the greatest dynasty of all time, right? They did something even New England couldn't do, whereas now I think it's still that even playing field. Mahomes, maybe you can even say is, I wouldn't, but you might have him over Brady in the GOAT conversation. Normally, the Eagles and Patriots have been rivals, enemies in the past, but I would like to say we're friends at this time.
Absolutely. The enemy of your enemy is your friend, right?
Exactly.
And I think that's exactly how we come together. And you keep your friends close and your enemies closer here on Locked On Patriots. But Louie is the former, not the latter. He is a dear friend. I do appreciate you coming on today to lend your wisdom and counsel on Milton Williams and even on Marcus Epps. Folks, the New England Patriots continue to add talent. They will continue to do their best to upgrade their 2025 roster. Throughout the weekend, we'll continue to monitor the situation and bring you any of the latest updates right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. But in the meantime, I want to give a tip of the cap to my good friend Louie DiBiase. Check him out each and every day on the Locked On Eagles podcast. You can follow him on Twitter at DiBiase, LOE. Anytime you want to hear great, phenomenal insight on the Super Bowl champions, check out Louie's podcast. And I also want to thank my good friend Steve Balestrieri for joining me earlier today here on Locked On Patriots. A mainstay for a reason. He is a great friend of the program. But most of all, I want to thank all of you everydayers, all of you listeners out there that continue to make Locked On Patriots a daily part of your New England Patriots coverage. On behalf of Louie DiBiase and Steve Balestrieri, I'm Mike Debate, reminding all of you to stay safe, to stay well, to be the change you wish to see in the world. Have a great day, everyone. A great weekend. We'll see you back here again Monday morning on Locked On Patriots.